Hello, this is TelecomTV. I'm Martyn Warwick, and I'm talking with an old friend of TelecomTV, Mark Cohn. Not so old really, Mark, but old in terms of the time we've known one another, who is the SVP of Marketing at ClearPath Networks. Mark, in this game, we meet around the world in industry events and shows. We were at one last week, we're at another this week. Last week we were talking informally off the camera, socially, about NFV and the business case for NFV, never mind the technology so much, and why, despite all the hype cycle, we haven't seen that many real-life implementations in networks in the way that perhaps was envisaged a year or so ago. It seems to me that the first and best use case that we're seeing is virtual CPE. I know you bang the drum for this, so let's begin at the beginning and ask, why is virtualized CPE so central to the future of NFV?
All right, well, virtualized CPE is a new delivery model for capabilities that were traditionally embedded in hardware. And as a result, with the advent of virtualization technologies and initiatives, primarily software-defined networking and network functions virtualization, which the two are now, they're considered more synonymously than ever, we see an opportunity as an industry to be able to capitalize on the full value proposition that SDN and NFV bring to bear. And that is not only offer enhanced agility, but a significant potential for cost reduction as well, both on the CapEx side of the ledger as well as the OpEx side of the ledger. So that's one of the key reasons that virtualized CPE is being considered and is considered one of the #1 use cases for NFV by a number of different operators.
Indeed, and this comes from this #1 NFV use case in the years 2014-15 based on an Infonetics global carrier survey. So you were talking about the guys who are actually the carriers, the operators, they themselves think that this is the #1 business case at the moment.
Yes, and if you look at the challenges that they have, now they're delivering services based on thousands, if not millions of subscribers, and typically millions of subscribers for many of the tier ones. And when you look at the potential for simplifying or eliminating customer hardware and the potential for simplifying the network to be able to help their customers by just reducing or eliminating the complexity of configuring networks, configuring internal capabilities that typically they don't understand and that they're even fearful of, this is one of the main attractions of virtualized CPE for those operators. At the same time, we have the potential to accelerate the delivery of services by, in essence, removing the truck roll that's required to get equipment onto the customer site. And that's whether that truck roll is real or virtual. Virtual in the sense that the operator might have to send something over the post to get a residential gateway or other relatively expensive and complex hardware into the customer site, configure that, make sure everything's running, make sure it's running in conjunction with the communication services. You can see the potential for gain by being able to virtualize that entire process, which is what virtualized CPE offers.
Now, you mentioned to me a while ago the triple play value proposition for virtual CPE. You've used to be talking about some of it. Can you encapsulate it for us in a sort of couple of swiftish sound bites?
Yes, the triple play really refers to the opportunity for generating new revenues and increasing agility. That's one. Second is reducing the overall OpEx through automation, through the benefits of the cloud. And then finally, it would be to reduce the hardware cost on the customer side in particular, which is the CapEx play. And it's also reducing the hardware cost even on the carrier side, depending on the extent of virtualization that's provided, by eliminating appliances that were traditionally provided as physical boxes or embedded servers, and then being able to deliver those in a virtualized environment.
Now, of that triple play proposition, which is the most important at the moment? Because they're not all equal, are they? Agility is fine from one point of view, but it costs an awful lot, can cost an awful lot to make the network completely agile, whereas putting something in, a little bit of virtualization here that helps in a particular regard, is a lot cheaper.
Well, as one who's been carrying the torch for software-defined networking and NFV and some of the industry groups that I've been involved in, I was of the mind that agility was improving agility and generating new revenues was always the first goal. It'll get the highest amount of attention. But the reality, what we're finding is that that's not always the case, because it's very difficult to create a new service and then be able to zero in on a sales projection that is believable and that will in essence justify the overall impact on operations and the overall investment that's required to roll out that new service. So what we're finding from major operators is that they are very interested in the potential for generating new services and associated revenues, but they are finding it much easier to be able to justify the decision to move to virtualized CPE by reducing cost. It's a lot easier to approach the CFO, who's not necessarily involved in technology decisions, and pointing out that we can just completely eliminate or simplify millions of little boxes that have all sorts of customer implications, as opposed to arguing that we can get 3% or 4% or 5% of subscribers to actually take a new managed service.
So that's where we're seeing focused growth and take up. How big is the market of that, do you think, potentially, for that virtual CPE?
Wow, that's a great question. You can think of any piece of hardware that's on the customer side is the market. Now, I haven't seen completely cooked market projections, but it's many billions of dollars. And again, it's a fan-out issue. It's in excess. Sure. Yeah. But it's going to be probably tens of billions of dollars on a global basis.
So, Mark, you're obviously a man who knows his subject very well. So I'm going to ask you now to put yourself on a line a little bit and say, how much further along that line are we going to be as an industry with NFV in 12 months' time?
Well, I think that we are going to first be able to leverage the proof of concepts that have been publicly disclosed, as well as the ones underway internally that have not been disclosed. And I think as a result of that, we're going to see additional enhancements to some of the initial NFV-based products. And those products are going to be integrated with other products so that we're going to see some initial deployments. I think in 12 months' time, we're going to see quite a few. And we're even beginning to see new services that are going to take advantage of NFV. And those services are going to continue to go down market as we work as an industry to get the cost down, to containerize NFV in the sense that we can now be able to viably offer small to medium business and residential customers personalized services that would otherwise be infeasible with the conventional 1 VNF per VM virtual machine technology.
Great stuff. I'll hold you to that. We'll meet again in 12 months' time and see.
Thank you.
Until now, probably before. Mark Cohen, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.